So I talked to people and they said, well, if you're going to self-publish, you should, this is not for everybody because you're working alone, just like you do as you compose, and it takes self-discipline. And they suggested that 50% of your time will be in the business and 50% of your time will be composing. Well, I didn't like that because at the time I had 4 generations living in my house. I was teaching at Season, I was composing, and I was performing internationally. And I surely didn't need to spend 50% of my time publishing. So I was not too keen on the idea. But I wanted to have a big publisher come and take it off my hands and do the distribution and all of that. And actually, G. Shermer approached me and they came and had an interview. And they said they would guarantee that in 1 year, all of the, I think that printing way back there in 2000, I mean, in 1990, I don't know when it was, about 1992 by then. I think we had about nearly 1,000 copies made. So he said they would guarantee that in 1 year they would all be sold. But they wanted to sell it way below what the book cost to print and to produce. So I had just spent these years trying to make wonderful, excellent content and organization of it. And we even did special things with special paper and a wonderful binding which lay flat on the piano, but it had a wraparound binding with a spine so it could go on a library shelf also. So I wasn't about to sell this book, which meant so much, represented so much, for a really cheap price. So I didn't go with them. So about that time, there were a woman in music organization, there were several of them. We were having discussions about publishing your music by yourself, establishing publishing companies. So I said, okay, I would try that. And I had felt before that I should be focusing more on composing than publishing. And indeed, today I finally was able to submit my new piece from the piano splash program we had. And it was finally accepted, and I saw I've got 272 titles in ASCAP. So I have focused on composing, which means that I'm not the world's expert on publishing, but I will tell you what I've learned. Getting started. The first thing, which is not on your outline, is to get a graphic designer who can help you with a logo, like the one I put at the top of the page. That has served me well all these years for CULVER CREST publication. And also to have someone help you get the title of your company. Some people do not think it should be your name. It should be something separate from your name. There's different opinions on that, but you need to decide what it's going to be. Then once you have that, you need to register the publishing company at several levels. The county is where you register for a doing business as a DBA. And they also will tell you if the title of your company has been used by someone else or not. So you need to know that. And then, and you also get your fictitious business name there, which that is. And then once that's registered, that is published in a trade journal for a certain amount of time. Then you need to register with the city to get a business license. The city where your your organization is located, probably where you live. And then with the state, in California, it's the California State Board of Equalization. If you sell any of your music in the state of California to a retail, just a person, you have to pay, they have to pay sales tax, and then the state will collect that. However, if you're selling it to a university for a class or for some educational purpose, they usually don't have, you don't have to pay sales tax. It depends on that organization, what their status is. Now, if you want to publish a book like I started out with, then you need to register at Bowker.com. Bowker.com is the official ISBN agency for the United States. So if you're dealing with books at all, you want to contact them. They will provide you a bundle of self-publishing materials that get you started. Then, number 2, you should join a performing rights organization, a PRO. I noticed in the program that we just did, the Piano Splash program, every composer there happened to belong to ASCAP. That is not always the case. Sometimes there are I know there's some BMI faces I see that I happen to know are in BMI. And we also have CSAC. That's a little bit different, but do some research on them and decide which one would be best for you. And when you join, be sure to join as a composer and as a publisher. Why? Because then you will get 100% of the royalties. And that is your reward for going to all the trouble of self-publishing. So it's a big plus. So be sure you register in both categories, as a composer and as a publisher. So if you're self-publishing, here are some of the steps you have to go through. Decide if you are writing your piece, your composition. We'll talk about what happens with one composition. Are you composing it on a commission, or is it just for your own pleasure, or some other reason you feel you need to do that? You have to realize that whatever you're composing, it is work. In my own case, I think finding a musical concept that I want to develop into a composition and then developing it into the composition, that doesn't take me that long, and I really enjoy that part. But after the piece is written, that's when the nitty-gritty work begins. First of all, you have to prepare the score and the parts. And I usually do that myself, but on my big ensembles, I will engage a professional copyist to do those sometimes. Then you need to register your title with your PRO. It's interesting with PROs, I don't think I mentioned this. There are the American PROs, but there are also international PROs. There's one in France, one in England, one in Germany, and the European PROs, also some of the Asian countries have them. If you have music that's performed a lot in a particular country outside the US, you might look into the internationals. The European PROs protect the composer. Their focus is different from the American PROs. The American PROs protect the music, that title. So it's slightly different. Uh, so then you, of course, you want to distribute your music to performers who might play it. And that means, of course, that you have to generate an interest in it, create a buzz, and then publicize the composition so that it will be performed and potentially recorded. And that takes a lot of effort. That's where I've kind of fallen down on that. I just haven't had the time to really network and really, I think about approaching ensembles that would be interested in it, and I never quite have time to do it. But I must say that what I have done has reaped benefits. Just having the music easily available on the website and clearly easy to get to in the catalog, under instrumentation, under various sizes of ensembles and so forth, has brought orchestra conductors, singers, uh, chamber ensembles have contacted me that they've found that music and they've heard some of it and they're interested. So, you know, the little I have done has been very beneficial, and I'm hoping I may be able to do more. Now, it's important that you copyright the music to protect it also. And there are different levels. If you put your name on each page of the music, you probably would never have any problem owning it, that copyright. But there's also a publisher copyright. All of my music is copyrighted by CULVER CREST Publications. And you can also apply for a US copyright with the Library of Congress. And that's a good thing to do because then it's historically always there. I have submitted a few things for US copyright. When you do look, and you'll notice that it's one copyright costs a certain fee, but you can bundle several things together of the same type of music. I copyrighted, the last thing I copyrighted was 30 pieces for cello ensemble. So I put them all together in one bundle and copyrighted them. So if you're going to spend, I think I mentioned at the beginning, they suggested 50% of the time on the business and 50% on the composing. But another producer recommended to me to set aside 2 hours a day for the business. And that seemed like too much at the time too. But what you need to do in the business side is maintain a website, advertise, print the scores and the parts, do the binding, bill the orders, mail the orders, keep financial and tax records, and that goes on Schedule C on your income tax forms. And sometimes you have to generate a large publicity mailing. Now that was in 1990 and early 2000s. We did our second edition of Accompanying Skills for Pianists in 2006, and we sent out 3,600 brochures to every music department that had a piano department in the United States and Canada. And we had a great response for that. But today, I think we would do more online than we did then. And although I have never posted in my IRS report a profit from CULVER CREST publication, I have used the money from the books to support many of my composition projects. So it has been very beneficial for me. I went to I was in Italy, and there was a roundtable discussion of women composers from around the world, many countries, I think 30 countries there. And they were discussing self-publishing of their own sheet music, not books, but sheet music. So the moderator of the panel turned to me. She knew that I had, this was about 1997, I think. And she knew I had a publishing company. And so she said, well, is it viable? And I thought a minute, and she was talking about the sheet music. And I said, no. But I should have said that it supported, it was a support for my sheet music. And now I would say, with the old-fashioned way I have been doing it, I get about maybe an order a month for music, sheet music. And I'm hoping when we get to number 6 that you will give me some ideas on how to do this more efficiently and more creatively, so that more of my music can get out. Now let me see my notes. I'm doing okay, because I am at the point now where I want to update. I have a website that has been there for a long time. You know, I get so many compliments on it. People, it's not so arty as many that I've seen, but people say they find what they want so quickly. So I'm not sure I'm going to change that into one of these very smart looking, sophisticated and arty things. Oh, I know. I was going to say, now in the business, ever since I started in 1990, I have had at least 1 and as many as 3 part-time helpers to help with all these tasks that need to be done. And I really couldn't have done it without help. It would have taken all my time. One of the things that I have done to advertise was I've had reviews in music journals and piano journals. And like I said, in 2006, we mailed 3,600 brochures to every piano department listed in the College Music Society. We got that list. And also, over the years, I rented and manned a booth at the Music Teachers Association of California, the MTAC, their conventions, and also at the MTNA conventions around the country. I went to several of those, the Music Teachers National Association. And I did that for several years, featuring the book, but I always had my sheet music there on display, and many people bought sheet music. And I did that. I didn't like being there because I really wanted to be home composing, but I tried to make a fun time of it. I taught people how to sight read better, right on the spot, how to use their eyes more efficiently. And so I did it until one time I went and people kept coming by saying, oh, I already have your book. I just love it. And they all had the book already. So I decided, okay, I won't do this anymore. Now I'm getting requests for an ebook, and I have for a few years, and I've resisted it. But I'm thinking of making just a downloadable PDF. So I'd like to get your ideas on that. Along the way, as in advertising, I was advised not to expect orders from advertisements in music journals and magazines. And I wanted to do it anyway, and I indeed never had an order for my reviews and the advertisements in Gramophone magazine and in Fanfare magazine. But I thought it was just good to have it out there publicly, be seen, public view. And, one of our longtime presidents is Marshall Bylowski, and he wrote a piece called Disneyland Suite, and it was intermediate piano, very appealing. I played it several times for him, and he thought that would sell. So he advertised it in a piano magazine for a whole year in every issue. He never had one order from it. So
Wow.
I think it's just good for general publicity, but not as a good marketplace. Now, I wanted to spend a little time with Alex Shapiro, what she's done with her activist music, LLC, which she has taken this very seriously. She's a composer and a publisher, and she does other wonderful things. She's works as the leader in ASCAP, but she's the more successful self-publisher, I think, than I am. She was interviewed in 2016 online, and I recommend that if you have an hour, go listen to her, the first tape, episode 60. Really informative, and she's so lively. It's good. The interview is at www.composeronfire.com. It's an interview by Garrett Hope. And here are just a few of her suggestions. She says, write, write, write. Keep writing, but don't rush. Live a while in the sound palette that you have created. I thought that was good advice. She said, throw out what does not speak to you. Be proud of what you publish. And be aware where there is a market today. In 2016, when she had this interview, she said that the market she had found was in new works for concert band at all levels, especially high school, college, and for new choral works. So she has concentrated on that. And she says, build a consortium, and that's just what she's done as a successful way to get your music out there. Each ensemble pays a small amount for you to compose a piece for them. And with a broad base, you can get many premieres and even your living expenses paid while you're composing the piece. Alex Shapiro has been very successful in doing this with college and community and high school concert bands. So I tried it with guitar orchestras, but the initial attempt didn't work, and I haven't had a chance to follow through with it. She also says, be gracious, human, and build relationships. Performers like to know the composer personally, and create a compelling website that showcases you and presents each work well. So I recommend that you go to her website. And I know there's some other good ones too, but I happen to be aware of her. So that's essentially what I had to share. And I would like very much to get your stories and suggestions you have for the rest of it. And if you know are up to date, there's Adrian. You can tell us your story, Adrian. And let us know of the new apps and the new way of doing things that are more efficient, quicker, easier, whatever you can share.
Well, let me jump in, and first, bravo. That was a lot of information in a short time.
Okay.
I think you set our record for excellence and being concise. So that was all wonderful. I'm going to suggest that before we open up to people making their own ideas and suggestions, which I think is a fabulous idea, that we should have a quick Q&A with Deon, if anyone has questions they'd like to ask her.
I do.
Jeff.
Okay, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for all your good information. My question is, it sounds to me that everything you've self-published, you've been mailing physical music out and none of it has been PDF downloads to date. Is that right?
Officially, you're right, but I have actually mailed many PDFs,
Okay.
mostly to friends
Yeah,
that I didn't charge for.
yeah,
So I want to make that a business option.
yeah. I think it's a very good one now. I've been doing I've had two pieces on my website that I got recorded, and they've been up for about 10 years, and I've done PDFs only. And I haven't sold a lot, but I've sold them around the world. And now I'm moving into doing some physical copies. I just wrote a book that I published, and so I'm going to do physical copies and download PDFs.
Yes. So you're not going to do an ebook, you're going to do a download PDF of your book?
Yes, as I understand it, an ebook is good with text because having an ebook document allows the text to be reflowed, which means it changes how it is on the page depending on the person's physical device, how big it is, and how they've zoomed in and such. But the book I just did is a piano book, and piano players that are going to be playing off of an iPad or something like
Yes,
that
that's
want
what
to
I'm
see one page.
Yes.
They
Now
want
I
to see
have
a
a
page at a
question for
time.
you. Is
Right.
your piano book horizontal or vertical?
It's vertical.
My piano book is horizontal. Do you think it'll work?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. My,
I would think so, yes. I don't think there's any reason that someone couldn't just turn their iPad on the music stand. I mean,
yeah,
that works,
should
right?
work. That should
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Good suggestion. I appreciate that encouragement because that's what I'm starting. I'm about tomorrow. I'm actually in a place where I'm moving and I'm packing and everything. But I don't think this can wait because the next semester is upon us. So I think tomorrow I'm going to make the PDF available for download for the people who have contacted me about it. Some people are still ordering the physical book.
Yes, I think the PDF download market is enormous.
I think it is too.
I have a friend who has written 13 music books that he has published. He has the physical copies available through Amazon because they can do print on demand and they have a worldwide reach. But he did not put the PDFs on Amazon. He put them on his website because there's no reason to give Amazon money off the PDF. They're not doing anything.
Right, right.
So I decided that was a good business model and a good way to maximize. So I have a piano book that actually it came out today on Amazon. Today it went live, my first book, and then I'm building a new website and I will have it as a download PDF there.
And will you sell the PDF for less than the physical book that you have to print?
You know, I don't know that yet. That's a wonderful question. And I think I will look at my friends' books and look at other competitors' material and see if there is a standard way of pricing. I think it's an excellent question.
The one that I have seen, and I don't know if it's standard yet because I haven't looked at very many, is that the PDF sells for 30% less than the printed copy.
Yeah.
I would think it could be even 40% less. Printing and shipping a book is a lot more, it takes a lot of time, you know.
Yeah, it does. Although with the advantage of using a print on demand service like Amazon is it's not your time.
Right. But in my case, it's my time. Although
Right.
Amazon and other places do it also.
Sure.
But,
I think another question that is very
company,
interesting and I don't know the answer to is if you have a client that buys a physical copy, regardless whether they buy it from you or they buy it from a print on demand service, and then they come back to you and they also want the PDF. Should there be a discounted pricing on the PDF because they already bought the physical copy? And that's something I have not yet researched, but it occurred to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just jump in and say that
Please.
a number of sites, although by far not all of them, offer bundles where if you buy the physical sheet music or book, you also get a quote free download.
Yes.
Now the
I
cost
like
of download
that.
is rolled into the price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I may do that. I mean, I may figure out a way to do that. I have seen other music books that sell as physical copies on Amazon, and inside the front cover, it says, here's your code to go get your free PDF.
Ah.
Yes. Adrian has a question.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment about this, which is I'm really, Deon, your all of that was so wonderful and so informative, and I really don't know anything about publishing books, but I am self-published in terms of my music for the most part, and I have over the years, at first it was kind of 50-50. When if somebody ordered the printed copy, it would be twice as much as the PDF plus the shipping cost. And I have slowly but surely brought those two numbers together, whereas now, let's say if somebody orders a hard copy, it would be $35 for a trio, whereas with a PDF, it would be $30. I'm getting closer and closer. And I must say that in this time of COVID, when it's, if you don't have your own publishing equipment at home, and it's very difficult to get to a publisher, more and more people are asking for PDFs. More and more are preferring PDFs because, first of all, they can get them immediately. Secondly, they can get them for less. And I don't know, maybe some of you out there have an idea about the percentages of, you know, how much each is worth, but I'm getting closer to 50% and 38% or 40% or something. And I have, I know somebody who's very successful in selling her music. And for instance, a piece might be sold for $20 for a hard copy, and she sells it for $18 for a PDF. I mean, that's really, you know, that's very close. So I would love to know other people's, how other people perceive this and how they manage their money.
Does anybody else have experience in that with a percentage? Jeannie?
So I wanted to, yeah, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit. So I publish.
You need to mute your other device. Hold on just a second.
My speaker, huh?
No, you have two devices on, and I've got to find the in this list. Sorry. Okay, here it is. Okay, you're good. You're good. Talk.
Okay. I just spent the summer redoing my website, and I'm a publisher as well as a composer, of course, and I publish the music of another composer, who Zenobia Powell Perry. And so I built this new website that has instant download of the PDFs. So what happens is that people make the order, they pay for it, and it goes right to the download, and they automatically can download the PDF. And the money goes straight into PayPal, and I don't have to do anything at all. So it's, because of Black Lives Matter, I've just been flooded with orders since the early part of June, because she's African American and Creek Indian. And there's a website that everybody should know about, particularly the women on this call. It's called composerdiversity.com. And they are promoting minority composers and women. And I've been getting a lot of orders from that site for for her music and for my own. So it's very exciting to see what's happening. So what I've done on the website is I offer a version that's PDF and then a print version. And the difference in price is only a couple of dollars, but the prices are very low because I want to have the widest possible distribution of her music. The point is not necessarily to make a lot of money, but I don't want people to get in the habit of thinking that music should be free. So I do charge money for it. And I've had just, I mean, some pieces have been a real hit this summer, and people have been sending me PDFs of, YouTube, links to YouTube of their performances of the pieces at home. And it's just been very gratifying because the orders are coming from all over the country. So I wondered if I want to tell you that my site is on a Wix.com site, and it is one of their business plugins. And so the programming on it is very, very simple. It works instantly right out of the box. So, and they've been having special rates this summer where the business plan is like $13.99 a month. So you can hardly beat that for web hosting with a store component and a link to, you can either use the Wix credit card processing system, or you can use PayPal with it.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, Jeannie. I'm going to jump in because I'm in the process of changing over from a website that I've had for over 20 years. And it's very dense and it's usable, but it's not as usable as a Wix. And so I'm moving over to that. And I'm very happy to hear you say how easy it is.
So
Here's what her site
That's
looks like,
exciting.
if you can see that.
Oh, nice.
I'll scroll down. You see she has clear categories across the top here, so it's easy to navigate. And when you scroll down the page, you can see that she has the publishing for music, her books, her film work, her special services, and then the shop. And then each of these major categories links to another page. And I'll put the link in the chat so you guys can explore it later.
Wonderful.
So,
Now,
David,
David.
could you show them the shop page so they get an idea of just the shop page so that people can see what it looks like?
Okay, well, first I'm going to share the link and then I'll share the page again. Okay, so if you check your chat window, you'll be able to see it yourself. Now I'll share the shop page. Okay, so here we are. We're able to get to the shop navigating from the top or at the bottom of the page, and that's really important, to make the design so it's easy for people to navigate around. They don't have to look around if they want to go someplace else. So click on Shop Now, and let's see how quickly it responds. Okay, and here you can see that all of the items have, like Deon was saying at the early part of the discussion, there's a graphic designer who's done a really good job of giving each item its own distinctive look. And
Okay.
that's really useful. And then here's a bunch of sheet music in many, many different categories. And I'll just jump ahead a second and tell you that he has designed the site so you can search. So, for example, for horn and piano, you could search for horn pieces and just get those. And those
David,
things are not difficult to do. In other words, getting that search functionality is not a big deal.
So the search is on the left-hand side. It says filter by. So you'll see, look at ZPP Digital. If you click on that, all of her PDFs show up. So, but they're also in other categories. So if you're just looking for solo piano, you can do that. If you're looking for the CDs, you can do that.
ZPP, by the way, is Zenobia Powell Perry.
So it's not fancy, but it's working. I've had 7 orders since Saturday. So, and I haven't done any promotion on the site yet. Thank you, David. Thanks.
You're welcome.
would you like to compare with an older style by showing my page, Culver Crest Publications, just the home page,
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second
just to
here.
see, maybe there's something we can learn from that too.
I wanted to talk about something. You can put I put on in the music a license agreement. So if it's a choral piece, I'll put this download, you can make 12 copies of it for the price. You've licensed 12 copies. If you need more than that, you need to buy a second license. And I think that's the way we can handle it, because you can't really control the number of times they copy a PDF. And I always put on everything, please do not copy or distribute. And you know, it's an honor system at that point with the PDF. It's problematic.
So here's what Deon's Culver Crest Publications looks like.
Now see at the top has all the categories. You can click on all those. You can
Yes.
see it by instrumentation or vocal or large or small. And then up above has bios and all that information. I just scroll down quickly so they see what's there. So
Yes.
those are the 2 operas we did last year.
Now, see, this is something that Jeannie hasn't done, which is embed videos. And that's a very important aspect of online presentation and marketing in 2020, is to have video and
This
audio.
is another video of a performance in New York. And then there's a video of an interview, which was a lot of fun. And I also, so we
Yes,
published
a
my
link to
buying
buying on
books.
Amazon.
This is the latest book. And they archive all of the newsletters that we put out every so often. Keep going. It
And
has
there's the
them
archive
all listed, all the
ways.
newsletters we started in 2012 with this website, I guess. And then it has some of the CDs, and this is the other book. It has the interview of my husband with his book. And I just got an order for 2 copies. Somebody who went to the website and listened to that interview and said he liked it. And this is an interview that Jeannie put on when we're playing Zenobia Powell Perry on a tour, another CD. And this is
that started it all.
This is the cover of the accompanying skills book, 2nd edition. I think that's it. So it's not arty, but there's a lot of material there.
Yes, and basically, if you were going to update your website, you'd just be using a different template, a different design, but it would have the same content, because you have everything there that people want.
Yeah, so David, I do have videos, but they're not embedded. There are links for them everywhere.
Yes.
So I
that would be
used
another
links,
thing
it
to look
did
at,
not.
is to embed them, so people
Pardon?
don't need to leave the site in order to get the content.
Right, but if you use the back arrow, you go back to the site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying it's a design touch that you could consider.
Right. You can't, what I know about a website is that you can't do it all at once. If you do, you'll wait 6 months to launch it. So the best thing to do is get it up and running and then keep adding to it and building it.
Yes.
If you wait until everything's perfect to launch it and it has all the bells and whistles, you'll never get it done.
Yes, that's true.
Jay Asher, did you want to say something?
I had a question. I have my songs embedded in my website. You know, you click on them, you can hear them and all that. But I believe I have a WordPress site, and I believe they're Flash-based. And more Flash seems to be going away.
Yes.
The only problem is when I tried another kind of player that wasn't Flash, when people would click on it, it would take quite a while for it to load and for them to be able to hear it. So I wonder if there's more recent developments in that I need to explore.
Well, does anyone else have something to add? I have.
My website, webmaster helps me with it. Wanted to put the things up there on Vimeo, and some of them are Vimeo.
Okay, so you're on your site, you're just linking to it being on YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, rather than embedding them in your website. Maybe that's
Some are embedded in the website, and some are on Vimeo. I've got 2 or 3 different.
See, the
ones.
problem is with Vimeo and YouTube, of course, they have to be videos. And I do have videos there, but they're not part of my website. So I'm starting to rethink this whole thing, you know?
I don't have the answer to that. That's a good point.
Well, here's my 2 cents worth on this. First, by far the most common way to display audio products on the web is to create a SoundCloud page for your product. And that has been optimized to share with many different kinds of sites, including WordPress.
But the
So-
SoundCloud is not so good sounding.
That's true, unless you have a more expensive site. Nevertheless, the pay levels of SoundCloud, but it's got a free option, so that's worth looking into, because when Flash support for browsers goes away in a few months, SoundCloud will still be there.
It's that soon, huh?
Oh yeah, I've been getting announcements on my browser for over a year.
Wow.
Do you want to, jettison your Flash browser extension now because it's going away in a year, and then 6 months, and now it's almost on us?
Wow, I haven't seen that at all. That's not good news.
Mm.
Well, it's time to go on to something else.
Yeah.
The second thought was I wanted to go back to what Jeannie was saying about how you got to get your site out there, and that's absolutely true. The other thing is that after about 5 or 10 years, you need to redesign your site, because that's about how long something will stay contemporary looking. And there is a certain charm to things that are old-fashioned, but when people are browsing on the web, they're not looking for old-fashioned, they're looking for something that's fast and easy.
I hate to say that's so true. If my son is still on here, he was on a while ago. He keeps telling me the reason I don't win some big competitions that I have entered is just because they're interested in young people, not old people.
Well, I'm interested in all people.
But you don't have enough money to give grants.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, that's true. I'm not an individual of high net worth,
Yeah.
but someday. So,
Anybody else? Catherine?
I have a question. I'm not of high net worth either. So I have a naive question, because I'm just I have a website for women composers, but I don't have my personal one, and I'm just getting things together for that. So how uh, do you get, how do you set up the financials so that people pay you? Can I just do it through PayPal?
Yes.
Or
That's the easiest way. We've done it several ways, but PayPal is by far the easiest.
okay,
I just recommend just starting out with that.
yeah, great. That's easy.
Oh, getting back to Jay, have you tried the HTML music player?
I,
HTML5.
I believe I did. And once again, it's just when you would click on it, it would take, depending on the person's internet connection, it could take a while to load. Where with my current one, and maybe you can visit it later when you have time, David, you click on it and you hear it like boom, right away. Which, given the fact that particularly younger people now are not patient, and if it takes more than 5 or 6 seconds to load, they're gone. That's it. They're not hanging around to wait for it to load. So,
Yeah. Well, they're also the generation that has difficulty discerning the difference between 128 bits per minute and 256. Because remember, that study's been done several times.
yeah, I know. It's pretty scary. You know, most of them are
That
listening
make
to
you
their
feel better
music
about sound
on
cut.
crappy earbuds. They're listening to crappy MP3s on crappy earbuds or on Beats headphones that they think are good because Dr. Dre is behind them. You know, this is the world we live in. So,
Yeah. Nancy, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that those great notes were made available to us.
Why don't you email me, Deon@culvercrest.com,
I will
and
certainly.
I will email it to you.
Thank you.
Anybody else too?
Nancy, if you just click on the link there, it'll download it right now. Just
Oh,
click
Okay.
on the PDF sign and it should download it to your computer.
I'm looking. Let me say.
Look in the chat window at the top.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
And then you
Oh,
should see
I have
a
it.
little,
Yeah, I just clicked on it. Got it. Okay. Beautiful. Got it. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So we're coming in at almost exactly an hour, which is
well, that's good. That's enough. Don't you think? But I would like, before we close, I'd surely like to invite you to our 4th Zoom concert. I've been producing concerts for 3 years at the historic Presidio Chapel, and now we're doing them on Zoom. So this will be the 4th. We have a wonderful Italian pianist, Lorenzo Marazzo, who's going to play all classical. He's playing Beethoven, Mozart, and Haydn, but he's very good at that. And so if you're interested in just a little breather from contemporary music, I'd love to have you come, but you have to RSVP to get the Zoom link, and you RSVP to presidiointerfaith.com. No, presidiointerfaith@gmail.com. Sorry, presidiointerfaith@gmail.com, and they'll send you the link. It's going to be Sunday at 4 o'clock, and debating if we should do more of them or not.
It's a magnificent location with a panoramic view of San Francisco Bay. It's a historic chapel, and the concerts themselves are really very high quality, and I recommend them.
This will be real high quality. I met this man. We were doing a concert in London, I think in 1999, my son and I, the Price duo. And we were doing a concert, we didn't know it, but we were sharing the concert with Lorenzo Marazzo, who I met then. And he played the first half and we played the second half. So recently we just happened to reconnect at a concert in Los Angeles. And he came up to me, he said, "Are you Deon Price?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, we did this concert." So we've had a good time reconnecting. He's in Seattle. So he'll be playing it from Seattle. We'll be Zooming it from here on the Presidio. And it should be really wonderful classical music.
And let me just quickly add that next Monday at this same location, we're going to have our own Greg Steinke who's a retired professor and department chair of art and music on writing for oboe. And I think that'll be great, fun, and highly informative. So that'll be coming in your invite soon. And be sure to get the link to Deon's concert. And everybody say good night.
Hi, thank
Good night. Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank you, Dion.
Thank you. Thank you,
Welcome.
Deon.
Thank you,
Thank
David.
you, David.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very good.
Thank you, Dion.